Fallout 4 is getting pretty old. Despite it being the newest single-player RPG from Bethesda Game Studios, we are rapidly approaching Fallout 4's 8th birthday. And with that in mind, the game definitely is starting to show its age in some ways. Like, why is it impossible to get reasonable FPS in downtown Boston? Or even just in general, play the game at above 60 FPS? And once you start adding a bunch of mods on top of everything, it only degrades a bit further. But thankfully, modders are coming to the rescue on this front also. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the best mods to modernize Fallout 4 and even overhaul parts of your Commonwealth in general. But unfortunately, there is a pretty big downside here. You can't actually play on your phone. But thankfully, I have a fix for you, as today's video sponsor, Dragon Raja, is available on the go or even on your PC. Dragon Raja is one of the most popular cross-platform MMORPGs in the world right now. It features this really cool mashup of cyberpunk and anime fantasy, and it gets even better as Dragon Raja just introduced its club competition event with Cloud Conqueror. This is a PvP event where you're able to fight side by side with your club members to see who is the best fighter in the world and even which club has the highest honor. Cloud Conqueror only just started on March 23rd, so it's the perfect time to jump in. You'll participate in the server championship, and if you're able to rank in the top 2 there, you can even jump into the cross-server tournament. This is going to be open every Saturday and Sunday, but for everyone, there are tons of rewards going around right now. Everybody who's in a winning club is going to get something, but you have to make sure you're fighting fiercely because the better your rank, the better your rewards will be. But you can still get some pretty epic things like the Medal of Glory dynamic picture, title, and more. So to make sure you don't miss out on these epic new club competition events, use my link in the video description to download Dragon Raja right now, and make sure you log in to become the strongest fighter or even see who will be the last champion. And you're even able to head over to the official Dragon Raja Discord server for more info on daily login rewards, exclusive prizes, and more. The first mod that may prove to be a real game changer for many of you is the Fallout 4 Upscaler. What this will do is implement DLSS, FSR2, or XESS into Fallout 4, those staple features that many other modern games are shipping with. In effect, how these upscalers will work is the game is being ran at a lower resolution, but then upscale to the resolution you actually want to play at. And since this technology is getting pretty good, that basically means you can have next to no visual loss on your game while getting a bunch of extra FPS. This is going to be particularly beneficial for low-end systems, or in this example, for heavily modded load orders. I could explore and play in downtown Boston with a near lock at 60 FPS, but also while using several hundred other mods. Although, by default, this mod does have one major downside. As of right now, it doesn't work with ENBs, but thankfully there is a solution. You just need to cough up some money. As in the mod author's Patreon, there is a beta build of this mod that does support ENB. And with this version, it creates a pretty cool experience where, with just a few mods, you can get a visually stunning Fallout 4 that runs great and even takes advantage of some of those modern upscaler features that tons of other games do have. But a great tandem mod to add on top of this to really crank your FPS is Shadow Boost. This will dynamically turn down features like God Rays and Shadow Quality to improve your FPS on the fly, trying to hit a certain target FPS that you can set. And with a heavily modded load order, this will make a massive difference in the FPS you get in some areas. And since you're now using both of these mods, you're going to have a bunch of extra FPS while playing Fallout 4, you should also download the high FPS Physics Fix. What this will do is simply allow you to actually play Fallout 4 at over 60 FPS, which typically is a hard engine limitation. By default in Fallout 4, if you go above 60 FPS, the game's entire physics engine will speed up. But thankfully with the high FPS Physics Fix, which only came out a couple of years ago, you're able to finally fix that. Honestly, a bunch of these are just standard features of other games, but Fallout 4 is a little quirky, so it requires some extra attention. And with just these 3 mods installed, I'm able to run around downtown Boston in Fallout 4 with a near perfect 144 FPS the entire time. Which, let me tell you, if you've never experienced this, you need to. It feels absolutely incredible, especially if you have a high refresh rate monitor. But now that you actually have a bunch of extra FPS, let's get rid of all of that with a bunch of the latest HD overhaul mods available right now. Fallout Faces is a pretty cool new mod that will overhaul the faces of other NPCs in the Commonwealth. I really enjoyed this mod. One of the best parts about it is how far-reaching it is. Tons of NPCs are impacted by this, from major characters to even some of the more secondary or minor characters in the game. And this almost has a double nice impact. On one hand, many of the characters do genuinely look better with higher quality textures, more custom hair on their head or face, but also mods like this are just really good from a novelty perspective. We've all played Fallout 4 tons of times, and having some uniqueness for a new playthrough is definitely a big positive. Which, speaking of, one of my favorite new HD mods is the HD Enhancement Project Creature Edition, and this mod looks incredible. As the title suggests, it is going to be a near comprehensive retexture for the creatures of Fallout 4, and to me, this is a significant upgrade over what was here previously. Creatures just feel like they have far more detail and even more of a presence as you encounter them. And one of the cool parts is this doesn't just stop at the standard version of that creature. This mod will also impact many of the other variants that will pop up, like glowing or ghoul. So now, of course, mods like this that retexture things in a more notable way are always going to be super subjective. But for me, this is another one that has not only the novelty factor, but also just a visual pleasure factor, with some of these creatures looking absolutely incredible. This mod author is also working on a similar mod for robots, which I gotta say, I am particularly excited for. The HD Chems project and Immersive Animation Framework patch is a mouthful, but also a pretty cool niche mod. The Immersive Animation Framework makes it so when you use chems in Fallout 4 that aren't just stim packs, an animation will actually play. It's a really nice immersive feature and a mod that many of you are probably already using. And on the flip side, the HD Chems project will vastly enhance the visuals of some of the chems in the game. And this new patch is effectively going to combine the two. Now, as you're using certain chems and having that immersive animation play, you're going to see a far higher quality version of that chem in your hand. But if you're looking to enhance things around the world, or maybe even just for yourself in Fallout 4, we have a few mods for that as well. Tumbajamba's Raider Power Armor is one of my favorite new mods for this game. It'll integrate a totally new Raider-styled power armor, and although simple, this thing does look absolutely incredible. Tumbajamba's name may sound familiar, as they were actually one of the first major power armor mod authors for Fallout 4 around release. And it really is awesome that he's back, and I really love how this armor is implemented. There's basically going to be 3 different sets used by raiders around the Commonwealth that you're going to have to fight through in order to get it for yourself. Overall, I just think this armor has a top-notch design and feels incredibly lore-friendly in the world. But for better or worse, lots of Fallout 4 mods aren't all that lore-friendly. Instead, they actually go after a more modern military aesthetic, which I guess technically could be lore-friendly when you look at the first couple of Fallout games. But one such mod that'll fit in great here is the Gunner Armor expansion. This is going to bring that modern military aesthetic to more of the Commonwealth by overhauling the look of the gunners in-game. This will give the gunners a completely custom armor with tons of pieces and even quite a range of variations. Overall, making the faction feel more established, organized, and in general, just a bit more unique and memorable. I don't know, the big appeal of this mod, at least for me, is how much better it'll make those interactions with the gunners from now on. This is also just an armor mod. You can take each of these new pieces of armor and use them for yourself, and these new armor pieces do have a fair few different variants, customization options for you, but also just different styles that'll pop up on gunners that you're able to loot and take home. Raider Armor Paints Redux will implement additional texture options for the general Raider armors in the Commonwealth, which, although being a very simple mod, I think it adds in a nice degree of novelty to Raider encounters. But if you want more novelty with enemy encounters overall, we also do have faction reinforcements, which I think is a totally underrated new mod. This mod is basically going to incorporate a ton of new and very notable enemies to some of the existing factions in Fallout 4. For example, the Raiders may sometimes now have a Raider mech spawn with them. These are hulking but crudely made mech suits that tower over even power armor. These things are going to be really slow moving, but incredibly tanky. They're going to tank a lot more shots than other Raiders would, and if they do manage to get close to you, they will deal devastating amounts of damage and even stun you momentarily. The Institute is going to have a new biomass collector. This is a new form of robot that is out to collect biomass from the Commonwealth. This is going to be for testing back at the Institute, but also has some defensive capabilities and will be a tough fight overall if you do engage with it, although the Brotherhood of Steel probably have the most powerful new additions here with Centurions. An even bulkier version of power armor with custom weaponry integrated into the suit. These things are ridiculously strong and can even be called in on command by high-level Brotherhood members. And even that isn't all. I don't want to spoil every new NPC implemented with this mod, but it will add in options for almost every major faction in the game. Some of these you're just going to face naturally as you're exploring through the Commonwealth and taking on those factions, but some of the other ones you actually can earn for yourself. As you do partner up and ally with certain factions, you'll unlock new abilities. Overall, I found this to be a really fun mod, and from a lore perspective, a lot of it actually makes a lot of sense. Mech suits don't necessarily appear in Fallout 4 by default, but they fit in perfectly in the world. And a lot of these interactions with enemies become more interesting because they have far higher firepower now. Overall, I feel like it's a really fun and interesting new mod that makes Fallout 4 enemy encounters just a bit more memorable and definitely more difficult. But if you are looking for more Fallout 4, you can also check out this video I made on the top 10 Fallout 4 mods mods to come out in March 2023, several of which actually have really great synergies with the mods I showed you in this video.